Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of the World History and Geography GCast as presented by Gibsonian Institute. Today we are still covering the U.S. Constitution. Yes, I am still aware that it is a world history class, but we gotta get the U.S. Constitution done. So here we are, episode 2, Bill of Rights, Preamble, and the overview of the Constitution. Let's look at our objectives. We've got first, we're going to listen and explain the Bill of Rights. Then we will review and analyze the Preamble, summarize the Constitution, and then we'll wrap it up. Alrighty, here we go. So the Bill of Rights. Amendments to the Constitution written by James Madison. James Madison originally proposes 15 Bill of Rights to be added to the Constitution. However, only 10 of them are approved. We'll go through them right now. Number 1 is the freedom of religion, speech, and the press. Number 2, the right to a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. All right, that's one that there's a lot of famous protests and a lot of debate has been upon the Second Amendment as of late. All right, so that's something that you may see a lot in the news. The third one, which brings us back to the revolutionary times when soldiers were allowed to just sleep wherever they wanted and they would say, "Get out, this is my house now." So no soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner. So the army can't just come over to your house and say, "We're sleeping here," without your parents being like, "Okay, that's fine." Number 4, freedom from unreasonable search and seizure. Let's say I go in your house and I say, "You did something wrong. I'm not going to tell you what you did wrong, but I'm taking your stuff." Nope, that's illegal. That's stealing. All right, and the police can't do that either. They need to also have a warrant or a reasonable cause to come and have a look at things, right? So there's the word we need reasonable. There needs to be a reasonable cause. Number 5, no person shall be held to answer for a crime unless on trial of a grand jury. So there's you don't have to answer to say, "Did you do this?" unless you're on trial. So you can't. This is where people say, "I plead the fifth." They don't want to incriminate themselves. Right to a speedy and public trial and legal representation. This one gets a little bit dicey nowadays because some people, there's a lot of deadlines that have to be met. So you can put off a court case if you get injunctions and continuations. But generally speaking, you should not be, if you get charged with a crime, let's say you stole a pack of gum, we're charging you for stealing a pack of gum. You shouldn't have to wait 4 years in jail to be put on trial for stealing a pack of gum. It should be fast, it should be in public, and you should have right to legal representation in case you can't afford it. Number 7, right to a trial by jury of your peers, right, of fellow Americans. All right, protection from excessive bail or unusual punishment. Again, let's say you stole that pack of gum. They can't say, "That's it, you get the death penalty." Nope, that's too much. Excessive bail. Let's say you stole a pack of gum and they said, "Well, if you want to go home, you got to pay $1 million bail." Nope, that's too much. All right, so it's got to be reasonable. People retain the rights not listed in the Constitution. This is a very big one. They can't think of everything. All right, the Bill of Rights is the Constitution is only 4 pages, and they write everything down. So if it's not listed in here, assume that you've got that right, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. Keyword there, doesn't hurt anyone else. And then the last one is basically anything that's not listed in here is up to the states, unless we think of another rule, and then we'll add it in here anyways, and then that's kind of the loophole. All right, so here's the 10 Bill of Rights. Some of them kind of cross over. 7 and 6 and 8 are really ones that people shouldn't have to. The everyday citizen doesn't really run into that one, but we do like to know that we have rights that are not listed in the Constitution. We definitely like our freedom of religion, speech, and the press. All right, so let's move on. The preamble of the U.S. Constitution, as I'm sure you have memorized, reads as, "We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America." So let's break that down into 7 goals. It states it right there, but we're going to put it in even more plain English than that English. 6 goals. Number 1, to form a more perfect union. Number 2, establish justice. 3, ensure domestic tranquility. Number 4, provide for the common defense. 5, promote general welfare. Secure the blessings of liberty. These are the goals of the preamble. This is what the Constitution is set out to do. It is listed right here. It says this is what we're going to try to do with this document. Let's see if we can get it done. All right. And for the most part, it does. Moving on with the overview of the Constitution. The strengths of the Constitution. Well, first, it provides for a government by the people, right? We have a say in this. We're not just ordered to do things, saying, "Oh, I don't like this." And we can say that we don't like things without getting in trouble, right? It provides a government that can act when in danger. Democracy is always said to be slow, and I've even said that it's slow in class. But December 7th, 1941, we get bombed Pearl Harbor. We declare war in 2 days. So if we need to act, we can act. All right, and that's good. All right, so we can still have our voice be heard. But if we need to act in danger, we can still do so. Provides a balance between the federal and state powers. All right, this is definitely a scene right now during the quarantine where states are saying some of the states are ready to go back to being normal, and some states like Illinois and New York need to stay under a little bit more of a lockdown, and Michigan's kind of a mess, but there's difference, right? The federal government is supposed to look after all the states, but the states are supposed to just look after themselves. So the states will better know how to take care of themselves than the federal government will, in general terms, right? Oregon needs to just worry about Oregon, whereas the federal government needs to worry about Oregon and the 49 other states. So there's a balance that we find, and we usually do a pretty good job with this because of the Constitution. Most importantly, in my opinion, it guarantees the individual rights for all people, everyone, not just most, not just some, not just the people who have blue eyes, everyone. All right. And it's preserved union. It's survived a civil war. All right. It's fixed things over time. That's the amendments, right? Finally got on the right side of slavery and stuff like that. So it's preserved union and has continued to grow. And lastly, it provides space for orderly changes. The Constitution and the people that are put into government positions know that the Constitution sometimes needs to be changed. It should be, right? They couldn't have predicted it all 200 years ago, but there's that space to change things if needed, right? And that's another strength, right? The Constitution is over 200 years old, and we're still using it. The Illinois Constitution, we've had 4 since Illinois has been a state, since 1818. This shows just how hard it is to write a good constitution. All right, Illinois Constitution, I think 1974 or 1970. All right, well, you'll see that next year. Moving on. In summary of the Constitution, there's 3 branches in our federal government: legislative, executive, judicial. We should all know this by now, but just in case, we'll go into more detail on it. There's different ways how officials are elected to represent us, and there's different ways in Illinois laws as well, but we're just looking at the federal laws right now. So first, people that are elected by the people are going to be the senators and representatives. The Electoral College, technically, are the ones that elects the president, right? Not the people. People kind of vote, and then the Electoral College kind of goes based on that vote, but it's not direct, all right? We'll go into the Electoral College more when we get there, all right? Promise. I understand Electoral College is confusing to most adults even, so we will get there. And then lastly, we're gonna look at some details regarding the flag. All right, but we'll get there later as well. This is just an overview. Now, one more thing we're gonna go over today is the 7 articles of the Constitution. The first article talks about the legislative branch, its duties, lawmaking guidelines, the elastic clause, elastic being stretchy, and forbidden powers. Article 2 is the executive branch, listing president and vice president duties, the terms of office, the order of succession, impeachment, and specific powers to the executive branch. Article 3 talks about the judicial branch, judicial powers, defines treason, that strong word, treason, this is treason. But what is treason? We'll go over that in Article 3. Powers of the U.S. courts. Article 4, states and the union, how states fit within the federal government and the requirements for new states to join, obligations for federal governments, of the federal government to all states. The federal government has an obligation to fulfill things to all of the states in the union. Article 5, amendments, how to add to the Constitution. Oh, we forgot something. Let's add it in. Let's amend it to the Constitution. Article 6, the U.S. Constitution Supreme. That's a nice, strong phrase. The Constitution Supreme. States that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, right? It is the basis of all laws. That's something that you will need to know, that the U.S. Constitution is the basis of all laws. And our last one, the ratifying procedure. This no longer is relevant because hot dog, we got it passed. But back then, when they needed to get 9 of the 13 states to pass this or to ratify it, this was how it was going to be done, as listed in Article 7. There are 27 total amendments to the Constitution. I'm going to list them all super fast right now. I'm just kidding. Actually, what I'm going to have you do is, because it would take me very long to go over all of them, I want you to go check out the image posted on Google Classroom. You're going to need it for the assessment that corresponds to this. So make sure you look at that image before taking the assessment, because otherwise I'm just assessing nothingness. So I want you to take a look at that. There's a really good visual, breaks it down into 27 total amendments. All right. So take a look at that. Take the assessment. Other than that, this is a wrap. If you've got any questions, email me directly or come see me at the office hours 12:30 to 1. I hope you have a great rest of your day. See you later.